This stamp set is our Blossom Beauty, and it's part of the Mixed Media series. It's a bit unusual in that you get this interesting face and a large flower stamp. And this is a cling style, very deeply etched and everything. And what you can't see initially in the package is that it also has this template. And actually, it's, I would say, more a template and a mask. So when you open it up, you may need to separate a couple of little bridges, get your little scissors to separate it. But I would recommend keeping this piece and then keeping this piece connected together. So let me show you here. Here's a card where we did some beautiful, using the flowers and the face and adding a little bit of hair. And over here is another one, and this we've done all with the color pencils. So let's show you how quick and easy and fun it can be to develop your own hairstyles here with the Blossom Beauty. Position your cling stamp with the face onto a jumbo handle. Press and it's just going to cling in place, and you can see where you're going with it. I'm going to use Memento ink. This is a nice black. And let's see. I want to ink only the raised lines. But if you were to get some ink down into the cheek areas, you might simply take a wet wipe and clean a little bit of that away. I want you to know that it's okay to stamp off the edge of the paper. I found that it was best to pre-cut the size of my finished card that I wanted it to be, and then I won't do extra work that won't be seen. So there you have a nice clean impression, and this will dry rather quickly, but we'll make sure that it's dry before we continue. I've got a selection of color pencils, and because I'm working on a flesh tone color paper, it's really quite easy to simply do a bit more shading. So I'm going to quickly develop just some mid-tones. Next, if I want to step it up a little bit, I'll take just a shade darker and begin doing a bit more shading here. So here's the neck. Let's see, a little bit around the eyes and on this side of the nose. Next we'll add some of the cheek tones here. You can see the texture of my paper coming through a little bit, which makes it interesting. Now, to start with the hair, it's helpful to have the templates, and I've been using this one in acrylic paint so I can actually see the edges easier, and so can you here, and it keeps me from losing it, so there's no real need to wash the paint off. I just leave it on. But you could soak it in hot water and that would clean it off. Okay, so next, you've got to decide whether you're doing the hair parted in the middle or on the side or bangs down the middle, but by drawing the line you kind of have a sense of where the top of the head should be, and I find that that's helpful to begin defining where I'm going to go with the hair. And generally you've got hair a little bit higher than the top of your head, so just make a swoop or two coming down this way, and you can see that gives you enough definition to get rolling. Hair is never exactly all in one place, and it looks much more realistic if you do a little bit of it irregular and make some interesting highlights. So now let's talk about how, and I wanted to mention here, the long strokes with your color pencil will look like the long hair. Think of your combing the hair when you make your color pencil strokes. And now to come back in and do some areas darker, you can define the edges up here a little bit. Define the part line perhaps a little bit. And by darkening a bit at the outer edge, that's going to give some dimension to things. And down here as well. If you wanted to, you could use your mask, in this case, to define this edge, and then you could color across that edge and darken a bit behind the ear. That might be helpful. Okay, so anyway, things can be easily touched up with your color pencils. And then once you defined how the forehead looks, then you can finish doing a bit more of your flesh tones up here at the top. A little bit more pink up here might define a little bit of a shadow. So anyway, that gives you some basics. You could do a little bit of highlighting perhaps on the nose, and the highlights will bring things forward and the darker colors will kind of push other values back. So let's take a look at a couple of variations. If you work on a flesh tone paper, that makes it really easy. You can do a soft creamy color, and by how you stamp off the edge of the card, you're going to get a lot of interesting possibilities. And even working on a medium to dark color paper will allow you to do the highlights that really make the eyes pop. So this was a little bit of a self-portrait, and if you have to look, sometimes you need to look in the mirror or on your phone and turn your picture around or something, like you're doing a selfie, to study a couple of things. Find out, for example, do your bangs come all the way down to your eyebrows or further up? And study the edge on the outside, and just observing is the key to determining how you will use your color pencils to develop the hair. And I think when it's cropped in this way, kind of going off the edge, it's easiest sort of place to start. And again, hair doesn't stay all in one place, and sometimes you have a better hair day than others. So take a look at all of the different but very simple ways that you can do some quick coloring and create a lot of fun and different hairdos. And the thing that I think is quite fun about this face is that it's quite universal. And if you do different skin tones, here we go, and different hairstyles, you can get the illusion of this one face being just about anybody you know. So it's a lot of fun to work with, and I did another one here. And even with your color pencils, you can create a nice illusion of, you know, hair coming down over the eyes or different things like that. And remember to, let's add a little bit more to this one, because I wanted to show just a little bit. Even with very blonde hair, if you add several different colors into the mix, you're going to get a much more interesting and realistic look than if everything were all one flat color of yellow. So I've used my white for highlights and even some browns to define the outer edges. And on this one, remember that if you're stamping the face at an interesting angle, then your hair is going to fall some different ways. And I think you can see here I use that top of the head line to just kind of get me going, and the bangs maybe kind of start from there. And then just do some big swoops, and you can keep adding to it, and you can see that very quickly you can create a very fun, quick little card here. And I want to mention that as you get going, the biggest thing is just to jump in and try it, and remember that it's just paper. You're just having fun, and you can easily stamp the face again if you're not happy with how the hair is coming together. But one way or another, let's say you have a part of it that you're not that happy with. You can always do all sorts of things to cover that part up. So don't stop and don't back up. Go forward, and you'll discover some very fun possibilities that you can fix things. So let's say, for example, you do the hair and part of it is just looking way too big or not quite the way you wanted. Then you could enjoy putting some flowers and cover up the hair with some lovely flowers. And whether they're large or small or however you want to work it in, you can create some really fun sorts of things. And at the last, then I'll come back in and do a little bit of the last coloring up here to create the bangs. So you can have thick hair, thin hair, wispy hair, all different sorts, and have an awful lot of fun creating a unique stamped portrait yourself.